Well, here's today's 9 at 9. Speaking of that government shutdown, lawmakers in the U.S. Senate taking its first real step toward ending the now 40-day federal government shutdown. Lawmakers voted 60-40 to move forward with a compromise bill that would reopen the government final passage. And it could be several days away if some lawmakers object and delay the process.
A court battle tied to the government shutdown has put full SNAP benefits in limbo for 42 million people. Federal appeals court says that full SNAP benefits must be paid for November. However, the administration is expected to appeal.
And Governor Greg Abbott says he plans to run for re-election. Abbott will seek his fourth term next year. The 67-year-old made his announcement at a golf course in Houston over the weekend. He described Texas as a heartbeat of America and says the Texas economy is growing twice as fast as the U.S. economy.
And this morning, President Donald Trump pardoning many of his political allies who supported his alleged plan to overturn the 2020 election results. He's given them full, complete, and unconditional pardons from federal charges. Trump's lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, and Sidney Powell, and his former chief of staff, Mark Meadows, are on the pardon list.
And some of the biggest retailers in the country like Walmart, Target, and Aldi are celebrating lower costs for Thanksgiving meals. However, a closer look shows that they're actually following the lead of many shoppers, cutting back on options and going for cheaper brands.
Well, parents, listen up this morning. By Heart brand is voluntarily pulling 2 batches of its whole nutrition infant formula. The company says the recall is being made out of an abundance of caution. The move comes after the Food and Drug Administration started investigating a wave of infant botulism cases across the U.S.
And the search for deals is hitting restaurant chains. Reuters says with diners looking to save, places like McDonald's, Chili's, and Domino's are seeing more business, while younger Americans are skipping chains like Chipotle and Cava.
Well, changes could be on the way for the way that you pay at stores. The Wall Street Journal says Visa and MasterCard are nearing a deal that would end a nearly 20-year-old legal fight. One of the effects could allow stores to be more selective about what kinds of cards they accept. For example, accepting some Visa cards but rejecting others.
Well, today is an important date in military history. On November 10th, 1775, John Adams drafted a resolution that created what was then known as the Continental Marines. That date is now observed as the birth date of the U.S. Marine Corps. So happy birthday to the Marines.
The struggle and pain continues. We recently told you about 9 families that were displaced after a fire heavily damaged their apartment building on the northwest side. This is what that scene looked like on Friday. The complex is located on USAA Boulevard near Fredericksburg and Huebner Roads. And these are photos.
KSAT 12. Good morning, San Antonio starts right
it's
now.
Our coldest morning since February. Temperatures are in the 30s this morning, but don't get used to it. Big warm up on the way, and we've got some changes to the weekend forecast. It's all coming up.
And a teen shot in the South Side is fighting for his life. Police are working to uncover who's behind the shooting and what led to it. We're going to show you what's happening next this morning.
There's Wemby, scored 10 early in the fourth.
Victor Wembanyama knocking down big shots against the Chicago Bulls last night. Up next, we're going to show you his 3-ball that sealed the win in the Windy City. All right, good morning to everyone out there. It is November 11th, Veterans Day. Of course, we appreciate everyone being with us on Good Morning San Antonio. I'm RJ Marquez.
Hey there, good morning. I'm Patty Santos. Happy Veterans Day, and thank you for your service this morning. But this morning, you are going to need the heat on your car if you're just getting out the door, because it is chilly out there. It is 39 degrees. It's colder than yesterday, right?
It's definitely, you could feel it once you step outside.
Justin?
Yeah, but we're shaving off a few degrees from yesterday's numbers where we were in the 40s. Today is going to be in the 30s for the next several hours. And we don't have a lot of wind. We have clear skies. So it's just a good setup for these temperatures to drop maybe a little bit more before it's all said and done. Temperatures right now 39, a very light breeze out of the north-northwest. Now, whatever little breeze we do have is going to create just a little bit of a wind chill. 39 New Braunfels, 41 Converse, 39 right now in Stinson. We don't have a report out of Bernie Stage. But it is cold no matter where you go. Now, the good news here is I'm not seeing a lot of places that are down near freezing. So I don't think in most cases we're going to get there. We'll call for 37 here in San Antonio as our low this morning. 50 by 9 o'clock, and then up to 62 at 11 a.m. and eventually back into the 70s today. And this starts the process of us warming up. Now, we don't have a lot of gusty winds right now. We will, though, this afternoon. And you pair that with some dry air, we're going to have a high fire danger. We'll talk more about that coming up. And that's part of our headlines here. So coldest morning since February, 80s by Wednesday. So some warmth ahead. And then we've got to talk about what's going on this weekend. There are some pretty significant changes to that forecast I want to make sure you're aware of as you plan out your weekend. So tune in here in just a few minutes, and we'll give you those changes coming up, guys.
Thank you very much, Justin. Our top story this half hour, a deadly case of a road rage incident on the north side of town. Police say that it ended with gunfire between two drivers, and one of them is detained this Tuesday morning. So this all happened around 5:30 last night off of Bel Air Drive near Lock Hill Selma and Northwest Military. Officers found a 58-year-old man dead at the scene. Investigators say the other man is 23 years old. He lived nearby and actually went back into his home to grab another gun before the shots continued. He's now detained and cooperating with police, but at this point, detectives have not said if he'll face charges as they work to piece together exactly what led to this deadly confrontation.
A teenage boy is fighting for his life this morning after being shot on the south side. According to San Antonio police, officers responded around 8:15 last night to Somerset Road and found a male, possibly 16, with a gunshot wound to the stomach. He is now in the hospital in critical condition. Now, who shot him and why? That remains unanswered. So far, not much else is known about this shooting.
Well, two drivers accused of racing and causing a crash on I-10 last week could face upgraded charges. San Antonio police say that a man was injured in that crash, though, has unfortunately died.
Katrina Weber shows us why this scenario hits so close to home for others on the road.
Even with all we do to stay safe, some local drivers worry more and more about what they can't control, namely other drivers.
A lot of racing, a lot of cutting. Guys are acting like they're playing video games. They're just cutting all across the lanes.
I think it's extremely dangerous. A lot of times you'll have to slam your brakes just so they can pass you.
It's that kind of behavior, racing, that San Antonio police say led to a crash Wednesday night on I-10 on the Far East Side. They say Kyle Jin Liu and Evan Moreno, both 20, were racing when they rear-ended another car, sending it out of control. 33-year-old Robert Espinosa in that other car died from his injuries this weekend. His teenage son, who was with him, also was hurt.
Sad that anybody would lose their life because of guys racing.
They're showing off in front of each other, and they don't care what's around them.
Both Liu and Moreno were arrested on charges of racing on a highway causing injury. Turns out Liu has a history of trouble behind the wheel, including an arrest just last month for reckless driving. Data shows they're not the only ones taking chances on the road. According to the Texas Department of Transportation, there have been 135,000 crashes in the state related to speeding so far this year, more than 6,500 of them in Bexar County.
I think the most important thing is you just let them pass you because they don't know what they're doing when they're swerving in and out.
Well, some people like that driver keep their distance from those who are racing. A recently passed state law gives police quite a bit of power over them. It allows them to seize cars involved in street racing. There's no word on what San Antonio police plan to do in this case. Katrina Weber, KSAT 12 News.
Well, a San Antonio family says that they are living a nightmare after a crash on I-10 took the lives of a young mother and her two boys. The victims were 23-year-old Giselle Cristobal and her two sons, 4-year-old Angel and 3-year-old Raul. They died just 2 weeks ago in a crash on Interstate 10 on October 27th in the afternoon. The victim's family says that Giselle was taking a relative and their child to a doctor's appointment in Kerrville, but then had to make an emergency stop. Seconds later, they say a semi-truck hit them.
My little babies, they didn't even get to live half their life. And she still had so much more to experience.
And that was Giselle's mom, Lisa Espinosa. The other woman and her daughter in this crash, or in the car, survived. The Texas Department of Public Safety says the crash is still being investigated.
In your morning headlines, after weeks of political gridlock, the Senate has approved a deal to end the longest government shutdown in U.S. history. The 60-40 vote restores funding for federal agencies and gets hundreds of thousands of workers paid again. But the fight isn't over. The agreement sets up another showdown in December over health subsidies that impact millions of Americans. The bill now heads to the Republican-controlled House for approval. We talked with a pair of local congressmen about the potential end of the shutdown and what happens next with the healthcare subsidies issue.
If they, schedule a vote eventually on these healthcare tax credits, that what I'm hoping is that we'll have some Republicans join us in supporting their extension because they're incredibly valuable to people.
We're going to need some actual reforms to the healthcare system so that the constituents I represent who are struggling to be able to afford to pay for just not insurance, but the actual care, we've got to fix the system. And the subsidies don't fix it. It makes it worse.
All right, well, that was Joaquin Castro and Chip Roy there. Well, it is Veterans Day, as we mentioned off the top. That means that city offices will be closed for the holiday, but trash and recycling services continue as normal.
Yeah, several places around San Antonio are offering discounts and freebies to honor our military today. Here are just some of them. At IHOP, veterans can get a free red, white, and blueberry pancake combo. At Plucker's Wings Bar, veterans can get a free meal, which includes an entree, side, and non-alcoholic beverage for up to $16 value for dine-in only.
Okay, how about Main Event? The location on Highway 151 is offering a free double cheeseburger with fries, as well as 30 minutes of gameplay. The Express Car Wash, veterans can get a free car wash at all 5 locations in San Antonio. And we have a whole lot more discounts and freebies available for you right now on KSAT.com.
And today on KSAT Plus, we're going to be streaming our 1-hour news special on the 50th anniversary of the fall of Saigon. It is a deep look at the connections between San Antonio veterans and the Vietnam War. We're going to share their stories, some which have never been told in 5 decades. It airs today at 3 p.m. and at 9 p.m. again on KSAT Plus.
Against Vucevic, Wemby a 3. San Antonio in front. Wow. Another triple.
Yes, look at that right there. In case you missed it, another dramatic win for our Spurs. And of course, it was Wemby to the rescue. Spurs were down late in the 4th quarter before Victor sinks a transition 3 to tie the game. And then right after you see the shot there, Wemby hits a shot, another one from downtown yet again. That was the winner in the Windy City for the Spurs. Spurs win 121-117. San Antonio is now 8-2. This is the best start since the 2015 season. Pretty impressive 10-game start for our San Antonio Spurs, and they are back here on against the Warriors. But real quick, Wemby led the way with 38 points, including 6 3-pointers, including those last 2 to wrap things up. Again, Spurs versus Warriors tomorrow night at the Frostbank Center. All right, let's give you an update on your traffic authority and see exactly what we're looking at out in the roads this morning. I want to get you updated on this closure. This is going to be I-10 for all of our traffic going eastbound over by 1604, past 1604, FM 1518, headed out to parts of Seguin. So let's kind of zoom in and show you exactly what we're looking at in terms of this closure. That's going to be affecting all of our traffic there, 10 east, 1518. So keep that one in mind. Basically, this closure extending all the way to FM 2538 for all of our folks in the eastern part of Bexar County and Guadalupe County as well. Quick check here, northwest side of town. Traffic is also being slowed here by construction, overnight construction 1604 at La Cantera Parkway. We're going to continue to follow the very latest out here and give you more updates as we get them. Justin?
All right, outside with live cam, it is 5:10, 39 degrees, a very chilly morning. Coming up this afternoon, we're going to see low relative humidity. What does that mean? Well, you pair this with gusty winds and you get a high fire danger. We'll show you exactly where we're concerned about fire spreading coming up.
Also coming up, Google is making your TV a lot smarter. We're going to show you how Gemini is about to change the way you stream.
When San Antonio needs help, San Antonio shows up. And yesterday, that was proved right once again at the Fill the Truck food drive at Pinstack on 410. Before sunrise, the giving spirit was already rolling. Our very first donation came in at $7.19, and from there, the generosity never slowed down.
There you go. Go for it, y'all. Put it in there.
By day's end, San Antonio packed the truck with more than 16,000 pounds of non-perishable food, diapers, and pet food.
How many meals does that equal for the San Antonio community?
Yeah, this amount of food, I mean, that's the equivalent of 13,333 meals, right? Just think about it. All those people, one meal, that's 13,300 people who are going to eat tomorrow because of everybody's generosity today.
And in a powerful show of support, Randolph Brooks Federal Credit Union stepped up with a $25,000 donation to the San Antonio Food Bank, helping to ensure no family goes without food during this critical time.
When you think about $25,000, that turns into about 250,000 pounds of food.
Wow.
That truck over there'd be about 12 of those. So it goes a long way in helping us set the table for families in need.
And the impact doesn't stop here. You can continue to donate and support local families at safoodbank.org, or to get more information, visit our website, KSAT.com. For KSAT 12.
Okay, can you believe it? Thanksgiving is just a few weeks away, and a lot of families are asking the question, can we afford everything for the celebration? Walmart has a meal deal that will get you the turkey, stuffing, sides, and dessert for just $40. The store says their deal is meant to feed a family of 10.
All right, Amazon offering a deal that will feed 5 people for $25. That includes the turkey, mashed potatoes, green beans, and the green bean casserole. Okay, I do like that. And for a family of 4, Target is offering a full meal just under $20. Right now on KSAT.com, you can find more details on celebrating with your family. Just go to our website and search Thanksgiving. All right, and another quick check of our traffic here. And again, want to thank everyone that made it out to the Pinstack yesterday to help out with that event. Successful, I would say. And of course, we cannot say more thank you to all of our folks out there that help out with some of these donations and these food drives. Real quick update on the situation right here on the eastern part of Bexar County as we head over to parts of Seguin. Again, another reminder, I-10 East completely closed. This is going to be at FM 1518. So the last exit you're going to be able to get off is going to be 1516 in this entire stretch of 1604. So right now they are reporting about an hour delays for all of our folks that are traveling on this one stretch. Again, from 1518 all the way to FM 2538 for all of our folks headed out to the far eastern part of Bexar County, headed over to Guadalupe County. Everything else across the city is not bad so far. Again, still dealing with some overnight construction. That's going to be 1604 by the main UTSA campus area. We'll keep an eye on that situation, but the access roads are available over there for our drivers along 1604 on the northwest side of town. Everything seems to be pretty quiet around town right now. We'll also check in just a little bit on the northeast side of town and see if our folks are looking there. A little bit of backups for everyone making their way past 35 and 1604 on the northeast side of town. Okay, let's check in with our weather authority meteorologist Justin Horn for a check of things. And it looks like we have a red flag warning today, Justin.
We do, RJ. Today is another red flag warning day, which means fire danger will be high because of dry conditions and blustery winds. As cities grow, the chances for wildfires grow, and experts say it becomes harder to protect wildland from becoming a victim of fire. Right now, the Texas A&M Forest Service wants homeowners to take action against wildfires.
The most influential part of the defensible space is that first 5 feet from your home to 5 feet out. So that includes things like the vegetation around your home.
Recent drought conditions and early freezes have continued to dry out vegetation. We can see that outside, making fires easier to ignite and spread. The Texas A&M Forest Service monitors fire danger and works closely with local officials to prepare and respond accordingly. And today could be one of those days. I hope that we don't see anything like that, but you saw in the video, that was some file video, but winds are going to be pretty gusty this afternoon, gusting to perhaps 25 miles per hour by the time we get into midday and into the early afternoon. Now, this is a southerly wind, which eventually will bring in some Gulf moisture, but it kind of lags behind a little bit, right? So with these kind of wind gusts, in the dry conditions that we have, or that we're forecast to have, this is around 3 o'clock today, relative humidity is going to be right around 20% or less. That is always what I consider the cutoff here for really elevating the fire danger. Once it drops below 20%, you really start to see that fire danger go up. And a lot of places, San Antonio North, will be in that situation. So that's why the Texas A&M Forest Service has put pretty high fire danger, very high in fact, for northern parts of Bexar County. And then you get into extreme fire danger for areas just east of Seguin, Austin, Round Rock over to Fredericksburg. It's a day to watch, and we certainly will keep an eye on things, but just be so very careful with those kind of conditions. Meantime, it is cold this morning. We're down to 39 here in San Antonio. Comfort is reporting 32, although that's pretty cold considering the temperatures around it. Either way, it is definitely cold in the hill country. I just don't know that we're going to see a lot of places get down to freezing. It appears we'll stay right there in the mid to upper 30s to start. That will require a big thick jacket this morning for the kiddos as they head off to the bus stop if they're leaving early. 37, yes, break out the thick coats. But sunny and breezy this afternoon and turning out to be quite nice, 72. All right, dew point trend. So, we talked about the fact that it's going to be really dry today. That's why we have the fire danger there. These dew points start to climb. So once we get that southerly wind, it starts to really bring in the Gulf moisture tonight. I think we could see a little bit of fog as we get into Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, maybe even Friday morning. Actually, that should say Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We're off by a day here. But you get the idea. The dew points will steadily increase here and set the stage for the potential for some rain this weekend. But I must tell you, the timing has changed a little bit. And we typically do have this issue when we have these cutoff lows that come in from the Pacific. First off, this is still out over the ocean, so we don't have the data to feed into our models yet, so there's always some discrepancy there. But just cutoff lows in general, because this is cut off from the jet stream, which is up here, these things get a little bit tricky when it comes to timing. So what's changed since we last talked to you? Well, this system's moving a little slower. It looks like it's trending a little bit further north, which would result in a quieter Saturday for us. And perhaps the better rain chances would be on Sunday into Monday. So that's kind of how things have changed, and you can see it reflected here in the 7-day forecast. We'll have 80s starting tomorrow, going into the weekend. And then the rain chances at this point may hold off until Sunday into Monday. Right now, we're going to put a 30% chance on each day. So if you have Saturday plans, it's looking better. I'll tell you that. All right, our Just Ask Justin question this morning has to do with the fact that it is Veterans Day, of course. And I want to know, what was Veterans Day originally known as? Was it Remembrance Day, Armistice Day, Service Day, or Liberty Day? It had a different name originally. You can vote ksat.com/polls, scan the QR code.
Ooh, that's a good one. I don't know. Sometimes you tell us this, the question before.
I thought that was your vote, Patty.
No, oh, that one? No, not yet. I'm
Not
fast
yet.
at voting, but not yet. All right, time right now is 5:22.
Yes, all right.
39 degrees out there.
It is chilly out here on this Tuesday morning. Coming up, Google's Gemini is heading to your living room. How the new AI tool could change the way that you watch TV. And backed by popular demand, why Snapchat is flattening things out yet again, bringing back the classic 2D Bitmoji after a massive fan push.
In today's Tech Bites, Google is rolling out its Gemini AI assistant for television. The new voice-controlled application is being added to the Google TV streamer. It can give users viewing suggestions based on preferences and also offer additional context for content. Next, Venmo is rolling out a new cashback program called Venmo Stash. Users can earn up to 5% back for spending, auto reloading, and setting up direct deposits. It's part of Venmo's push to keep more money moving through its platform. Finally, Snapchat Plus subscribers will soon be able to have a 2D Bitmoji avatar again. They can be accessed through a setting called Comic Bitmoji. Snap went from 2D to 3D avatars a couple years ago, but nearly 100,000 people signed an online petition to bring the old style back. Those are your Tech Bites. I'm Victor Okendo. Have a great day.
Okay, coming up on 5:26 right now, 39 degrees outside.
And we now know the cause and manner of death for a congressional staffer for U.S. Rep. Tony Gonzalez. What our KSAT Investigates team was able to find in police reports and body camera footage from that day. Hey there, good morning. It is Tuesday. Happy Veterans Day. Thank
Better
you
late
so
than never,
much.
RJ.
We want to say thank you so much to our veterans. Thank you for your service.
Of course, yes. Several ways to honor our veterans today and even some of our enlisted members of the military. So we're going to break all that down for you. We know we got some schools that are out today and a few more that are in class. So a lot of folks going to be paying attention to the weather, obviously.
Yes, and I know I say it a lot, but thank you. Thank you for your service. We do appreciate it. And let's take a look outside on this Veterans Day. It's cold out there. Temperatures have slipped into the 30s. Even here in San Antonio, we're down to 39. Same story. New Braunfels, Converse is checking in at 41. Simpson, actually, one of the cold spots, 38 this morning. So I do think we could slip a degree or two more. But I don't think we get down to freezing here in San Antonio. So it'll just be a cold morning, one of the coldest we've seen since February. Sunrise will be at 6:55 this morning, so we're still about an hour and a half away from that. That will begin the warming up process. Sunset is at 5:40 this evening. Just keeps getting earlier and earlier. Total sunlight 10 hours, 44 minutes. And as we look at the hour-by-hour forecast today, yeah, I think we could drop down to 37 or so before we rebound to 41 at 8 o'clock. And then by noontime, 66. But do notice the wind gusts here on the far right side. Once we get some of those gusty winds, that fire danger that we talked about earlier is really going to start to jump up. We'll hit a high right around 72 this afternoon with breezy winds. And we've got much warmer weather on the way. We're going to talk about that, plus a solar flare that happened overnight. We're going to give you some updates on that here in just a couple minutes.
All right, thank you very much, Justin. Well, two major lawsuits are now pending over the deadly Hill Country floods. Families of children who died at Camp Mystic are suing the camp's owners in the first suit filed by parents of the Heavens 27 group that alleges gross negligence and reckless disregard for safety. It claims that the camp housed girls in flood-prone cabins and failed to follow state evacuation rules, calling the deaths an entirely preventable tragedy. Another suit was filed by the family of Eloise Peck. That was an 8-year-old camper who died during the flooding. Both suits seek over $1 million in damages. Camp attorneys say that staff did their best during this unprecedented disaster. Camp Mystic plans to reopen next summer with new safety protocols. KSAT is reviewing the documents and will keep you updated on those lawsuits.
Good morning, I'm Devin Karp in downtown San Antonio. Today, 3 former San Antonio police officers are home free after a not guilty verdict by a jury in the trial for the shooting death of Melissa Perez back in 2023. The trial itself lasted 21 days, and we had extensive coverage throughout KSAT. In the end, the jury cleared Alfred Flores, Nathaniel Villalobos, and Alizar Alejandro of murder and aggravated assault charges. Now that the case is over, the question is, what happens next with the 3 former officers?
What's next for them?
There are many remedies that are available for these individuals, and we're going to have to explore them carefully.
What do you mean remedies?
Well, there are remedies at law, and I'm not going to go into them at this time.
Potential like civil action?
I'm not going to go into them at this time, but there are potential remedies for a malicious prosecution, a prosecution based on a lack of probable cause.
As for the prosecutors on this case, they rushed out of the courtroom, and we later got this response from the DA's office. Quote, the Bexar County District's Attorney Office respects the jury's verdict and has no further comment. And here is SAPD's response. Quote, the city acknowledges the jury verdict today. However, the civil litigation and disciplinary processes are separate and distinct from the criminal process, and we will continue to defend the city and the civil education and the discipline issued for the former officers involved. The San Antonio Police Officers Association, or SAPOA, also responded by saying they are, quote, thankful for the not guilty verdict handed down by a Bexar County jury today. They also took aim at the city and the prosecution, saying, quote, we have complained about the double standard within the department and the fact that wrong decisions are being made due to political pressures. DA Gonzalez and co-prosecutors Daryl Harris and David Lunan have no place representing our communities, end quote. Each officer's original charge carried a life sentence with maximum years in prison. For now, I'll send it back to you, Devin Karp, KSAT 12 News.
KSAT investigators has learned the cause and manner of death for Regina Santos Aviles. She was a congressional staffer for U.S. Representative Tony Gonzalez. The Bexar County Medical Examiner's Office ruled her death a suicide caused by self-immolation. That's the act of setting yourself on fire. In September, Uvalde police told us that Santos Aviles was alone when she caught fire at her home. KSAT Investigates reporter Daniela Ibarra has filed several records requests for 911 calls, police reports, and body camera footage from that day. Uvalde police says they're investigating the incident along with the Texas Rangers. Now, if you or someone you know is struggling, there is help available. You can reach the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline by calling or texting 988 or using the chat box at 988lifeline.org. You can also text MHA to 741-741 to reach the crisis text line. And the conversation this morning around what to do with the closed San Antonio ISD campuses continues. This morning, we're getting a look at some of the companies and organizations that have made a pitch to move into some of those buildings. Now, here's a list of the 10 groups interested in renting out one of the 5 buildings out of the more than a dozen available. We got this list in an open records request. Brass Development is a real estate company. East San Antonio Community Development, Flight Academy. A few churches are also interested. Nova Academy has schools in other parts of Texas, and the district would not release more details on which properties they want to rent or what they are proposing to do, saying they are still in the RFP process. Meanwhile, there are additional community meetings happening to discuss other buildings still vacant. The next meeting is November 28th, focused on Rodriguez Montessori at 6 p.m. And there is also one on December 12th focused on Steele Montessori. Information can be found on KSAT.com. Just search SAISD.
All right, 5:35 right now. Well, San Antonio is soon projected to house close to 50 data centers. That's according to District 6 Councilman Rick Galvan. If you look at one of the maps that we have online, these are clusters of data centers in San Antonio that are established or will be established in the coming years. These are centers that power our online activities, but they also come with a bit of controversy, and that's because some of these centers may have a negative impact on the environment. Councilman Galvan filed the first request for the City Council to consider tracking and regulating these centers.
So currently there's little to no specific regulation on the way data centers are constructed or allowed to be built. So, well, what things can we do here to make sure that these entities are providing some community benefits in the area? How can we make sure that they're reducing impacts on the environment overall? How can we make sure that the energy and water usage here is being used as effectively as possible and not, anything too extreme? I'm not sure if that'll happen through the CCR. It's going to be a conversation the City Council will have, about what our direction is. But I think it's worth the conversation given that we are one of the largest markets for new development of data centers in the state.
Well, Councilman Galvan said there are approximately 14 centers in his district alone, District 6. Visit KSAT.com for a look at the full interactive map of these locations based on the data set that was provided by his office. All right, 5:37. Let's give you a little bit of data right now on the roads as we give you a look here at the far east side of Bexar County. This is going to be 10 at 1516. Looks like they are picking up the construction that was blocking the main lanes of 10 eastbound over by 1518. So again, 1516 a little bit further in as we get closer to 1604. Traffic starting to move along, but there is one little bit of closure still remaining out there for our folks, and that has actually cleared out. This was going to be over by Linney Road, FM 465, and the Santa Clara Road area as well. So good news there for all of our folks now headed out to East Bexar County. If you are headed out to parts of Seguin, wanted to backtrack here real quick and show you our citywide map because everything is looking pretty good. We have cleared out some of that construction on the far northwest side of town over by 10 at 1604. Okay, let's check in with Justin.
Thank you, sir. Let's go outside with live cam. It is 5:37, 39 degrees. Still plenty cold out there with clear skies. Here's what we're watching. Some changes to the weekend forecast thanks to our area of low pressure. We'll talk about when you can expect rain, and we'll get you an update on that solar flare coming up.
All right, thanks, Justin. Big news for shoppers this holiday season. Visa and MasterCard have agreed to lower fees stores pay. What that means for your next time you use your card to shop.
All right, welcome back. It is 5:41. Temperatures right now sitting in the upper 30s here in San Antonio. We got 39 at the airport, 37 at Port SA and at Stinson. And a few spots getting close to freezing, although we've got a big warm up on the way. That forecast is straight ahead.
5:44, welcome back to Good Morning San Antonio. Well, this morning we want to tell you about a man's life that was saved, all thanks to the help of strangers.
And now he's turned to KSAT to help find them. Myra Arthur met with Greg Bell at the site where he collapsed on the side of the road.
Keep that core tight. Perfect right there.
Greg Bell is a fitness trainer.
You've been an athlete your whole life.
My whole life.
Yeah, which is why what happened to you is even more surprising.
I felt like Lance Armstrong. I always sprint through downtown on the bike, and then the next minute I'm like, I don't feel good.
Greg was cycling through the King William neighborhood when he was hit with sudden fatigue.
Walk me over to where you
Okay.
actually laid down.
Between these two trees.
And you just laid back in the grass.
That's when the couple was walking down the street, said, do you need help? I don't even remember seeing him. And I looked at her and she goes, you have been passed out for 2 minutes. My eyes didn't shut. I just had a glare stare at her. And that's enough. She called 911.
Greg hopes to find that couple to thank them for getting him the help he needed, because turns out he was having a heart attack.
What do you think that couple did for you that day?
Saved my life. If I would have stayed here just 10 more minutes, that's when the heart stopped.
Greg doesn't remember much about his helpers, except for the blue Tesla the couple was driving. But Greg does know this. He wants others to be aware of the signs of a heart attack.
I went from feeling like, world-class cyclist to, oh my gosh, I got to take a nap.
His blood pressure had been higher that week.
And just blew it off. I'm like, I'll get to it.
Greg also encourages people not to ignore a family history of heart problems. It's part of what's motivated him to stay in shape.
Then I should have rested more. Yeah, I exercised enough, but I didn't rest enough. And so people need to know their family history. They need to check their blood pressure.
You've slowed down a little bit.
I slowed down a lot. 7 days in the hospital changes your life.
Wow, that is incredible.
Myra Arthur reporting there, and again, a big thank you to those Good Samaritans that saw him on the side of the road, and another warning there just to make sure to check on your health as much as possible.
Yeah, and if you are that Good Samaritan, please contact Myra Arthur. She wants to get you connected with him.
That's scary.
It is.
It makes you think. Like, I got to check on these things. That's a very good reminder. Guys, we had a little bit of action overnight up in space. We're going to get to that coming up in just a second. We have solar flare detected.
Justin's been very busy creating some graphics. But first of all, let's give you a quick update on the roads with their traffic authority. And again, 547 right now, and this is going to be our biggest delay at the moment. 35 southbound traffic at Evans Road. So been trying to avoid showing you guys out there some of the activity on the northeast side of town, but unfortunately we are seeing some pretty good delays. About a 30-minute delay right now for everyone headed south of Evans Road, past the Live Oak, past Pat Booker, over by the Topper Wine Road area. So again, we are seeing about a half-hour delay. Be careful if you're about to step outside. On the northeast side, give yourself a little bit more time. We have cleared out the overnight construction right here. 10, this is going to be past 1604 over by 1518. So that's a little bit of good news. And then nothing major right here on the west side of town. Our data, our maps indicating that there might be a stalled vehicle here on 90, but not causing too many delays for our folks out there. Okay, let's go over to Weather Authority meteorologist Justin Horn for a check of that solar flare. Justin,
yes.
What are you looking at?
Oscar sent me an email. You probably know him as Skywatcher. He watches these kind of things. But yes, solar flare was detected this morning according to the Space Weather Prediction Center, which, by the way, is a thing. They watch this very closely. It was a strong flare, one of the strongest, actually strongest of the year. We can see it very clearly here, but what does that mean for us? Probably not a lot, at least not right at the moment, but there could be a signal loss in high-frequency communication. We're thinking radio, GPS here. That's something that we watch. Sometimes you can get those solar storms, but this happened pretty quickly. Was short duration. But anyway, we will keep an eye on this. Interesting nonetheless. The sun has been very active as of late. All right, let's look at the wind chill right now. It feels like 37 here in San Antonio. It feels like 37 in Kerrville, 37 in Fredericksburg. So these are not the actual air temperatures. This is what it feels like when you factor in just that little bit of a breeze. There's not much. And that's actually one of the reasons temperatures are falling like they are this morning, is because we have less in the way of wind compared to yesterday, and when you don't stir up the atmosphere, it can just cool down a little bit quicker. 37 is what we're forecasting at 7 a.m., 41 at 8 a.m., and by 12 p.m., 66 clear sky. Now notice we start to get some gusty winds at this point, and we discussed last half hour how that's going to lead to a fire threat today, fire danger for not only us, but a large portion of the state. We'll make our way up to 72 for a high this afternoon, so a little warmer than yesterday. There still will probably be a few 60s in the hill country, but most of us make our way into the 70s. Now let's talk about the fire weather here. We showed you the Texas A&M Forest Service fire threat map, but this is what the Weather Service has put out. And basically, this is a red flag warning, and that just means the fire danger is high. But it covers a large area geographically from San Antonio down to Cotulla, Eagle Pass, all the way up to San Angelo and Abilene. So there's a large portion of the state today that's going to see those strong southerly winds that has threat to see some fires that spread. All right, Futurecast. This is going to be an important thing to watch in the coming days. This area of low pressure, which we've talked extensively about now, is hinting at the fact that it may slow down a little bit. It's going to impact California late in the work week. But the question is, where does it go from there? The timing is just slowed down in general. Also, a lot of the models are now shifting this further north. That's not necessarily a good thing for us because I think it takes the rain chances, or at least lowers them some. At this point, I do think we'll see a quieter Saturday. We had discussed yesterday that it could be active in the sense we could see some storms. I think if this trend continues, where it's just a little bit slower, then a lot of the rain chances would be more Sunday into Monday, and we would get sort of the tail end of things, which would not bring us as much rain. But that's how these things go. These cutoff flows are always going to be a little bit tricky. Right now, 30% chance Sunday into Monday. That's what we're going with. And as you look at the extended forecast here, just know that it does warm up quite a bit into the 80s by tomorrow. And we will see warm and actually quite humid conditions by the end of the work week. I mean, by Sunday morning, we're talking lows in the upper 60s compared to the 30s that we're seeing now. All right, our Just Ask Justin question this morning has to do with Veterans Day. And what was Veterans Day originally known as? Was it Remembrance Day, Armistice Day, Service Day, or Liberty Day? It did have a different name at one point. Go to ksat.com/poll or scan that QR code brought to you by Capital Farm Credit. The answer is in 1 hour.
All right. Thanks so much, Justin.
Yep.
Okay, 5:52 right now on your Tuesday morning, and man, 39 degrees outside.
Imagine sleeping inside a storybook. Up next, a first look at the new Good Night Moon suite that brings the great green room to life with fun details.
Welcome back to GMSA. Well, there could be some changes for people who use plastic at the register. Visa and MasterCard have come to terms on a deal with retailers that's set to lower merchant fees. The Wall Street Journal reporting the agreement would end a 2-decade-old dispute with merchants, which would result in lowering fees that stores pay while giving them more power to also deny some credit cards. Although the deal has been announced, it still requires court approval before it goes into effect.
All right, how about going to bed saying good night moon, good night mitten? A childhood classic is coming to life in a storybook-inspired hotel suite. The Sheraton Boston just unveiled the Good Night Moon suite, a full-scale recreation of the Great Green Room from the 1947 classic. On the 24th floor, it has green walls, the red balloon, the 3 little bears sitting on the chairs, pictures, and even a bowl of mush, plus a plush bunny for each child. The suite sleeps 2 adults and 2 kids and is bookable February 20th to the 26th for about $800 for a 2-night stay. How about that, RJ?
Would you do it, Patty?
I don't love that book as much. My kids like it. We've read it, but
yeah.
I don't know about $800.
Yeah, I didn't hear about it. Yeah, you guys were talking about it before the shows, and I was like, I've never. Now I need to read it. Yes, we'll do it on air. Okay, coming up in just a little bit, the Senate has approved a deal to end the longest government shutdown in U.S. history. Up next, why it isn't over just yet and how our local lawmakers are responding this morning.
A deadly case of road rage on the north side. Up next, why police say it ended with gunfire between 2 drivers.